What's up, guys? My name is Molly Van Marth, and I am an online health and fitness coach for executives and business owners. And another one of the trends I notice with my clients over the years is that many of them are ex-athletes or have been previously fit and maybe fell off the wagon. A lot of times ex-athletes turn to what used to work for them when they were playing their sport, and they try to apply it in their life now, which doesn't work so well because you're playing a different game now, so your playbook has to be different too. And so what I want to do in this training today is cover, first of all, what some of your goals may be as an ex-athlete living a different lifestyle. And also I want to talk about some of the challenges you may be facing. Maybe you're not even aware of the roadblocks that you're running into if you're someone who's an ex-athlete struggling to get into shape now. But I want to talk about those, and I want to give you guys some solutions to those roadblocks, okay? So first of all, like I mentioned, many of the clients I work with, you guys are ex-athletes or you've been in great shape before. A lot of times your goals are above average, especially for people your age. I know I work with a lot of people who say, you know, I want to be that 60-something-year-old with a six-pack, and I know I can do it, just show me how. Also, your schedules are one of the biggest conflicts for you guys because you've got fixed priorities. So you've got your family and you've got your job and you have a life too. So obviously if fitness is something that's going to fit into your life, it can't really take over your life. It needs to fit into your life as is. Typically for ex-athletes, these are your goals. This is what I hear a lot from you guys. A lot of times you want to create a physique that is fit and athletic, but also not bulky, okay? So you want to be lean and professional looking, but you also still want to be able to have good mobility and good flexibility, okay? You guys want to perform at your optimal, so both mentally and physically, which means that you can't sacrifice your performance at work to lose some weight or to build some muscle. So if you're someone who's, for example, if you've ever tried to drastically cut calories or you've gone balls to the wall and just worked out like a maniac in order to get in better shape, you could probably do that for a while, but then most likely you hit a wall and realize that that's not a long-term solution. So again, you can't sacrifice performance for looking good. A lot of you guys also, getting into great shape isn't even as much about getting into great shape as much as it is about representing your values and who you are as a person and what you believe in. So a lot of times when I work with people, it's not as much about the six-pack as it is about representing strength and intelligence and good willpower and being responsible and overall just leadership and someone that people can look up to. And that's kind of my next bullet here is a lot of times people I work with want to be an example for others, whether it's your employees or maybe your family. If you've got kids or grandkids, you guys want to be someone that others look up to. A lot of you guys want to look good, but don't necessarily need to compete in a bodybuilding show, okay? Also, you guys are aware that how you are physically and being in shape or being out of shape affects how you enjoy your life. So whether it's activities in your off time or again, performing at work, traveling, things in the future like being able to enjoy retirement that's coming up, those are things that are directly affected by the shape that you're in. And I know that a lot of people that I work with are aware of that and they want to make sure that they're getting the most out of life. Also, a lot of you guys want to be around for your kids or for your grandkids, and you don't want to just be around, but you want to be able to take advantage of, you know, the best things in life. So again, whether it's traveling or just chasing your grandkids, being able to enjoy outdoor activities in the summer, all those things are going to require you to be in good shape, and you don't want to miss out on those things. Now, here are the challenges that I hear a lot of the time from you guys who are ex-athletes, again, now living in a different lifestyle. You guys are time starved, okay? So whether it's a crazy family schedule, long work weeks, marathon days where it's just back to back to back meetings, you guys don't have excess amounts of free time, okay? Travel can also make you short on time too. You guys have fixed priorities. So, you know, work and family and having a life, those things come first over fitness, and that's just the truth. And maybe you're going, no, like fitness needs to come first. Well, the truth is you have a life and fitness needs to fit into your lifestyle as is if you want it to be long-term, okay? The third challenge, that's a big one, is that you guys have ever-changing environments. And so whether it's workouts or food, a lot of times you guys find yourself in different situations. So whether it's the office or, you know, your kid had a friend's birthday party to go to and you're trying to stay on track with your eating there, or maybe you're traveling on a business trip, or maybe you're eating out with some clients, you guys are going to be in a lot of different situations. And so, you know, needing a plan that is flexible and can still help you out in those situations is essential, okay? Now I want to cover 3 winning components. And again, I have boiled it down to these 3 things. These 3 components are probably the biggest markers for success when I'm working with an ex-athlete who wants to get into great shape in the context of a busy schedule. Winning component number 1, progress without injury. With you guys who are ex-athletes, again, a lot of you are very competitive, and so injury is one of the biggest things that will set you back, especially if you're someone who works out a lot. So the problem here is you either have nagging or new injuries that slow you down, and that usually comes from jumping ahead too quickly. And this can happen, you know, if you're doing CrossFit, if you're lifting weights in the gym, but it can also happen if you're just doing things like cardio. The part that sucks about this is that you're out of the game for months. So again, this is really gonna hurt your progress if you're wanting to see your body change in a positive way. And here's the solution. And maybe you've heard about this before, maybe you haven't, but you know, if you have heard about it, I'm gonna remind you. Progressive overload is one of the most beneficial features of your workout program. And if you don't have progressive overload in your workout routine right now, then I'm telling you, you need to. And especially for avoiding injury, this is one of the most important things that you can do. Essentially, progressive overload means that intelligent, progressive structure beats effort. So if you're thinking that you're gonna make it to your fitness goals just by going all in and working out as hard as you possibly can, you're probably going to injure yourself, and obviously that's not what we want, okay? Progressive overload refers to workouts are calculated and become incrementally more challenging as time goes on. Now, maybe you're going, okay, well that sounds nice, but how do I do this? Well, you need to follow a weekly resistance exercise routine each week, okay? So that tells you right there that you need some structure to your workouts. If you don't have structure, you're probably not incorporating progressive overload. And for each exercise, you need to either add a set, add a rep, add some weight, and just a little bit, not 50 pounds to each lift that you're doing or exercise you're doing, or decrease the rest time in between sets, okay? And maybe that's not making a whole lot of sense, but for example, if we were to look at a deadlifting example, and this doesn't have to be deadlifts, there's a lot of other exercises you can apply progressive overload to. But let's say you're doing deadlifts and you're doing 3 rounds at 135 pounds, you're doing 10 reps each round, and you're resting for 2 minutes in between sets, okay? Well, if we're going to add 1 set, then the first week you would do 3 sets, and the next week you would do 4 sets, okay? That's one way to use progressive overload. If we're gonna go with the second method here where we're adding 1 rep, then the first week you would be doing 10 reps, and the next week you would try for 11 reps, okay? Also, you can add weight, so maybe you're starting at 135, maybe you can deadlift more than that. You do 135 your first week, and then the next week you could try for 145. And if you're gonna decrease rest time between sets and go for that method, then you would maybe drop 2 minutes down to only a rest of 1 minute and 45 seconds the next week. That's just kind of a simplified version of progressive overload, but again, your workouts should be organized, and they should be progressive, and they should also be increasing in difficulty incrementally. So don't go leaps and bounds ahead of your, whatever you did last week. That's a great way to injure yourself, and that's not how you make progress, okay? Winning component number 2, holistic flexibility, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest problems that the people I work with run into is that there are a lot of scheduling conflicts, okay? So things that create scheduling conflicts, I think one of the biggest ones is actually working with an in-person trainer, and I don't even know that I have this up there, but struggling to match up schedules with an in-person trainer or a popular fitness studio can be really difficult. And so one of the biggest things with workouts is having it happen in your space, on your time, and at your location. And that also goes for eating, okay? So again, you guys are gonna be in a lot of different situations. You're probably gonna be eating at an airport at some point. You're probably gonna be eating with your family, maybe at friends' houses, probably at the office, okay? And that means all of this put together, it means that you're gonna need holistic flexibility in your game plan. Otherwise, it's not practical to apply to your lifestyle now. So solution-wise, you need to reverse engineer your routine. And we're gonna talk about nutrition, and I'm also gonna show you what you need to do with workouts in that sense, okay? So with nutrition, I teach my clients what I call adaptive dieting, which simply means that it adapts to you wherever you go, whatever you're eating. First thing you need to do to apply adaptive dieting to your lifestyle and your fitness strategy is you need to know your personal nutrition targets. So just like with business, not knowing your personal nutrition targets would be like saying, all right, that was a great year, let's do better and push harder and be greater this next year. That's a nice thought, but there's also absolutely no data involved. There's nothing to aim for, and you're not gonna really be able to gauge how you're doing and what your progress is like, okay? So same thing with fitness. We wanna make sure that you know what your personal targets are, and just mentioning two of the really big ones and really simple ones are calories and protein. These are almost like bumpers that I put up for my clients because it's so helpful with staying on track. Knowing your calories and knowing how much protein you need each day. If you don't know those two things, then most likely you don't have your personal nutrition targets dialed in. Calories, if you're wondering, why do I have to know about my calories? Well, that's gonna determine your overall fat loss. And protein is huge when it comes to controlling your hunger, okay? So do yourself a favor, make sure that you have those things figured out first. Now, once you know your personal nutrition targets, the best part is that you can use the foods you love to hit those targets. So knowing your personal nutrition targets does not mean you are limited to 3 foods, rice, dry chicken, and dry broccoli that you have to eat for the rest of your life. You can actually use the foods you love to hit those targets, and that's where you find a lot of freedom in this kind of method, okay? Now, obviously it doesn't mean you need to be eating greasy, sugary foods all of the time, but you definitely can incorporate some treats here and there as long as about 80% of your diet is whole, unprocessed foods. You wanna be aiming for nutrient-dense foods. And the best part about that is it works anywhere, regardless of where you're at. Again, works at a drive-thru, whether you're eating at a 5-star steak restaurant, doesn't matter, it's flexible and it goes with you. Now, in terms of reverse engineering your fitness routine, the biggest thing here is to make sure that you're working with custom tailored workouts. So again, if you think about going to a fitness studio, like maybe you're an Orange Theory person or maybe you do a lot of cardio, maybe you're working with a coach that's just kind of giving you cookie cutter workouts. That's not going to work because you really, again, you need to be working out with your equipment at your location on your time schedule. And so that really needs to be reverse engineered to be built to your lifestyle so that it works, okay? Now, the best way to do that is, again, start with your location. So if you need to work out at home, make sure you have a workout routine that is created for your home and the equipment you have there. The next important thing is to decide, okay, how many days a week, realistically, do I have to work out? Because even if you only have 3 days a week to work out, that's enough as long as you've got your workouts programmed in an intelligent way. So once you decide how many days a week you need to work out, make sure that you program your workouts to fit within that time schedule, okay? If it's not realistic to work out 5 days a week, you don't need to do that and you shouldn't be aiming for that. Next, you need to divide up your muscle groups to condense your workout time. So for example, if you divide it up the right way, you could get it done even within just 35-minute workouts 4 times a week. And again, the structure matters here to make sure that you're covering all your muscle groups in a good way and you've got balanced workouts and you're not, hitting body parts in the wrong way. But you can really reverse engineer your workouts to fit your lifestyle, and you don't need to be trying to match up schedules with an in-person trainer, and you don't need to be going to fitness studios to get it done, okay? The structure of your workouts is more important than that. Also, one of the things that I really suggest for my clients to save them a lot of time is to eliminate cardio simply by having your food dialed in the right way. A lot of times cardio isn't gonna help you build lean muscle, and all it's doing is erasing calories, which if you set up your food the right way, you don't need to worry about erasing calories, okay? So that's one of the biggest time savers there, and I thought I'd just make a note about that. Winning component number 3, you can gain an advantage with expert guidance, and that is one of the biggest hurdles that I see people run into that they're not even aware of. Again, the problem here is that most people fail not because they're not trying, not because they're not working out, not because they haven't tried a diet before, but it's simply because they're using incomplete or unqualified resources to help lead them to their fitness goals. And a lot of times I'll talk to people who have even worked with a coach in person before or who have worked with a nutritionist. And just because you've hired someone who has the title of fitness coach or nutritionist doesn't mean that they're qualified to help you reach the goals that you want to reach, because they really need to have understanding about your goals and about your lifestyle. And they need to be able to give you a holistic plan that accomplishes everything. And a lot of times a holistic plan that is really set up to create success for you in terms of fitness, it needs to have support with nutrition, and it needs to have support with your workouts, and it also needs to have lifestyle integration, and sometimes that means making adjustments weekly. So if you don't have someone going over your progress weekly and being able to give you feedback and constructive criticism weekly, then that's really gonna hurt your progress. And one of the biggest things is that it will save you time if you have access to an expert, because you can ask them questions and that will prevent mistakes before they happen. And then also, you know, if you have a week that's going well or you have a week that's going crappy, it's important for you to know why. So you can either do more of what's working well, or you know exactly what to adjust so you don't waste time with what's going wrong. Having the right perspective and knowing what the right next step to take is, that's one of the biggest things that's gonna give you an advantage with saving time and getting into really great shape, okay? If you're wondering if you're in that place, if you have ever dieted harder and not looked better, or you've worked out like crazy and you haven't seen great results, then you may be lacking that third component of having access to an expert. And one of the good ways to think about it is, you know, think back to when you played your sport. If you had a great experience with really mastering that sport, chances are you had a good coach somewhere along the way. And in the same way with business, you know, a lot of us who have grown businesses or run our own businesses have had a mentor that we've been able to mirror or shadow or follow along the way, who's really taught us a lot about how to run that business. So if you're wanting to be successful, you need a good leader and you need a good mentor and you need someone who, again, is qualified to lead you to your goals. Don't blame yourself. If you don't have a coach that doesn't understand your lifestyle, doesn't know what you need in your fitness routine, then don't blame yourself for falling off the wagon. That's what I want to say there. So for example, if you're using any of these things, you're probably experiencing gaps, okay, in terms of like the help that you really need. A lot of people I work with have bought a Peloton. Pelotons are great. They can be great tools and they can absolutely be part of your fitness routine. But if all you've got is a Peloton and you're expecting that to get you all the way there, you are going to be missing nutrition guidance. That's just one area that you're missing out on help with. If you're going to Orange Theory or fitness studios, group fitness is general guidance. It is not a customized plan that is built for you, on your schedule, for your body, for your goals. And so that's not going to work long term. You may see average results from that, but it's not going to get you all the way to your goals. If you're trying some trending diet like keto or paleo or intermittent fasting, it's not going to be a holistic solution, because when you eat out, you're not going to be able to incorporate your favorite foods, or even if you're eating at home, you can't incorporate your favorite foods. So you may be able to stick to that for a while, but chances are long term, eventually you're going to hit a wall, be miserable, and you're just going to go back to eating the same way you did before. Just picking one of these trending fad diets is probably not going to help you get all the way there. Again, like I mentioned a few times already, working with an in-person trainer usually creates more problems than it helps people. And a lot of times, in-person trainers are happy to give you fun workouts and maybe a relationship that you appreciate. But again, like we already talked about, your workouts should be structured. You should be able to look at your workout routine for the next 4 weeks or 8 weeks and know what the plan is. And so that creates a real problem with in-person trainers when they're just giving you random workouts. And then also with in-person trainers, they're not supposed to give you nutrition advice. Legally, they are not supposed to advise you on nutrition, which is 80% of getting into great shape. So that's gonna make it a lot harder for you, okay? If you work with a nutritionist, that's great, but a lot of times they don't have access to your workouts. So it's hard for them to create a diet that pairs well with your workout routine. And it's really important to have holistic cohesiveness, you know, with everything working together. Again, otherwise it's gonna be harder on you. And then there's of course DIY fitness approaches and people who have tried using fitness apps. And with these, it's really incomplete help because there's no accountability, and again, there's no feedback when things go wrong. The solution is make sure that you know the game you're playing now, which again, it involves your lifestyle. It's not just you playing sports anymore. You know, you've got a lot of other factors involved now, so your playbook needs to incorporate those factors and consider those too. Don't blame yourself if this isn't the stuff that you've got working for you right now. A lot of times I'll talk to people, and especially ex-athletes, you know, because you guys are so competitive, you can be kind of hard on yourselves. And a lot of times the approach I see you guys taking is just try harder, just do better. And if you don't have the right support and you don't have the right plan, it doesn't matter how hard you try. If your game plan can't be applied to your life right now, then don't expect success from that. I hope this gave you guys some perspective on this. If you are an ex-athlete and this was helpful, or you could relate to it, or maybe you're looking for the right game plan to use in your life right now, then drop me a note below and say, game plan, or go ahead and send me a DM that says game plan, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Hope you guys are all having a great week, and I'll be back on here again soon.